your guildmates. Talk to anybody that you think may be using this and you don't want to see them get banned. Um, I don't know if this happened already. I might have wrote this down. It might have been changed, but I was talking to a player last night, and so I think the T-staff and the Skeen might have been changed, but if it wasn't, we do have changes planned for the T-staff and the Skeen. We do understand and recognize the overpoweredness of these weapons, and so we will fix them. As far as resists, this is a big topic. As far as resists, I know a lot of players are just absolutely sick and tired of um, our custom resist system. So, and Nobog, being a constant proponent of classic everything, has always been against the current resist system. The reason the current resist system is in the game, whether this reasoning is right or wrong or stupid as hell or ultimately genius, the reason the resists work the way the resists work is because we expected to have about 300 person population on this server. And sorry, I was reading chat. We expect about 300 people on the server, and we wanted to make sure every class could PvP. We didn't think everybody would always have groups, so we wanted to make sure every class was viable in PvP on their own as well. As a lot of you should remember from live, certain classes are simply not viable on their own in PvP. Basically, any class that relies entirely or very heavily on magic-based spells. And so that's essentially why resists are the way they are. And then from there, you make one change because of the previous change, and you make another change because of the other previous change, and eventually you end up with a lot of changes to a system that should have been as close to classic as possible. So that being said, we are discussing the possibility of changing the resists back to the classic state. Nothing's been agreed on yet. The staff is pretty much 50-50 on it, but Nobog is Supreme Commander. And so if that is what Nobog ultimately wants, that is what we will try to put in. So, okay, and then best of the best stuff. As you guys know, there's 3 classes left, and then we're going to do a test of tactics. The way we're going to do test of tactics is 6-man teams. We will have people register their teams before the event the same way that people registered their characters for the best of the best. Whatever rules were in the test of tactics on live, that's essentially going to be the rules here, other than 6-man teams. So also, we're going to do part of the reason I am just powering through these best of the bests is because we need to get them done before Velius comes out. If Velius gets done and we can't release it because I didn't finish the best of the best on red, I will literally have my head chopped off and put on a spike somewhere in Norath. I'm aware of this. I do not want this to happen. So, and then after Velius has been out for a while, we're going to do it again. We're going to have a post-Velius best of the best and a post-Velius test of the tactics. Moving on to some other things before I get to the Q&A. So, a lot of people want to know why. Hold on one second. Okay, a lot of people want to know why. I see some people are starting to use big, serious letters. I'm not even reading chat right now, guys. Watch, I'll show you. Clear chat. There, triple cleared it. Not even reading chat yet. So, a lot of people want to know why, like, hey, Sirken, why did you post this thread asking about teams, and then you really never followed up, and you never really dealt with any of our questions? You kind of just threw this thing out there, and then it turned into the 600-page garbage, and what's the deal? So here's the deal. I was speaking with Nobog about teams, and Nobog told me that he felt 2 teams was the best way to do it. I told him that I 100% disagree with him. Having played EverQuest, having briefly dabbled in World of Warcraft, having played Star Wars for a few months, I have played games that have 2 teams, and I have played games that have more than 2 teams. I told Nobog that in my opinion, if we were going to go teams, my opinion would be the Val and Zek teams. Because the reason I was saying Val and Zek teams is because we wouldn't have to change anything. It wouldn't break up any guilds. Essentially, it's not hard-coded. So it would have no effect on the current player base or current guilds or current, really anything. The only thing it would affect is new players and incoming players. If, like, say I come to the server and I have no friends and I just found the server all by myself, and I can't get any IP exemption for my neckbeards, and I'm forced to just play alone. What I would do is say, hey, this server's not horrible, because even though I don't know anybody, I'm a gnome, and all the other gnomes and halflings and dwarves can't attack me. So by default, I have people on my side. I have people that can help me, that will answer my questions. I have people I can group with. People that won't automatically view me as a hostile. So that's pretty much the big reason that I feel VZ teams would have been best. Nobog wholeheartedly disagreed and felt that if we were to go teams, the best way to do it would be 2 teams. I told him that essentially right now the server is 2 teams. It's the Nihilum team versus the not Nihilum team. And so, I guess there's pros and cons to each. If you go 2 teams, for the smaller population, 2 teams means bigger teams. Less teams means more PvP, or maybe more PvP targets. I don't know. But it also means if one side gets too weak, the stronger team can just put their foot on the other guy's throat for the rest of the server, and that's not good. I know World of Warcraft ended up with the Horde being the very, very dominant team. I know that in Star Wars, the Sith Empire was a very dominant team. So that's my beef with the 2 teams, and that's why that thread came out. The thread only came out to settle something me and Nobog were going on about between 2 teams or more than 2 teams, and that's it. Item loot is another hot topic issue that a lot of you guys have brought up. I've seen many, many times in the forums. If we were going to do item loot, it would have had to been at the beginning of the server. Yes, we have. I'm not going to sit here and say it's never been discussed, adding it. It has. We've absolutely discussed it. We still discuss it. Whenever I get in Skype with Nobog, him and I usually visit the topic. That being said, and I enjoyed item loot. I played item loot on live on Val and Zek. So I have no problems with item loot. The problem is The problem is a lot of the established players, the biggest guild on the server, we're just going to say Nihilum, most of them have all no-drop gear. Most of them have all either planar or quest or just no drop gear. And the same goes with most of the guys in classic or force. And really, this is only going to affect the lower level people. And Nilbog will tell you that. Hold on, guys. Nilbog will tell you that the bonus to item loot is essentially the low level twinking issue. You can get together with a group of your buddies and take down that funky twink and have a shot at getting an uber item. But here's the thing, that's not real life. If you give me a fungi twink against, 5 scrubs in Crushbone, I'm going to kill 4 of those scrubs and hit a zone line before you ever get my fungi tunic. So in my opinion, that's not realistic. Also, in my experience, as much as I enjoyed item loot, when we did it on VZTZ, a emulated server that was pretty popular before P99 existed, when we did it there, it just murdered the population. It absolutely murdered the population. And me and Seriax and Null and Keegan got together and were like, we don't understand why this isn't working. Everybody said it would be so great. And so we learned not to listen to players anymore, but we also learned that while everybody is tough as they're posting on the forums, not so many tough guys when pixels are at stake. Lots of those same people that beg for item loot go running for zone lines and plugging and insta-poofing. So, in my opinion, it would just cause more harm than good. As far as the insta-camping thing go, just to reiterate, if I catch anyone insta-poofing out a game, that gets treated as MQ. Insta-camping is a MQ plugin. So even if you don't use MQ, if you insta-poof out of the game, you will be permabanned for doing it. And if anybody can catch anybody on fraps or something, and I know it sucks to run fraps all the time. I know it's not easy, whatever. I get it. But here's the thing. It's a permaban if you catch them. So if you do run the fraps and you take the time to do it and you deal with all the BS that comes with that, and you catch somebody insta-poofing, they're gone. Boxing. Another people want to know why another people. Wow, I'm retarded. A good amount of people have requested to be allowed to 2-box because the server is so lowly populated. So to that, I would say this. Yes, 2-boxing would make the number on the server select higher. And yes, it would make the lives of players much, much easier. Mike wasn't down. I had to do something. Anyway, 2-boxing, while it would be nice for everybody to have a pocket druid, and while it would be nice for everybody to be able to port themselves wherever they want, whenever they want, and run around PvPing with full raid buffs, that's simply not EQ. That's not how the game is supposed to be played. We don't hate druids, and we don't want to make druids useless by simply allowing everybody to have a pocket druid. This way, druids are actually somewhat important because they can port, they can buff, they can do all kinds of things that you can't if you don't play a druid. We don't want to ruin druids. We don't want to ruin other classes. The only class I'm willing to ruin is rangers because rangers hate themselves anyway. So, whatever. But I would never expect to see boxing on the server. The staff unanimously agrees that it's simply just as bad. There's no benefit to 2-boxing other than us inflating our server population number. and we feel no need to inflate the number. If the number's low, it's low. If it's high, it's high. We want it to be high. You guys want it to be high. So that's that. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the community. I wish Cast was still here for this, but the community, both good and bad. So let's start with the bad. Let's get the bad stuff out of the way. Most of the community is fucking retarded. Just straight up, certifiably fucking retarded. Now, moving past that, I'm going to give some help too. I'm not just going to call you guys retarded and then leave. I'm going to call you guys retarded and then offer advice to help that retardation, because at the end of the day, I'm a GM, I'm a staff member, and I'm here to help you guys. So some of the, I'm just going to do the good things first because it's a much shorter list. Some of the good things. I see one person I know is actually in this chat, or at least was, is Fairy on the Red server from Serenity. I've seen her do countless things to help new players. Be it give them gear, be it give them free ports, help them level, just throw buffs on people, answer questions. I've seen her do all kinds of things for the community, for new players. That's an example of a good community member. Now, I've seen other people in game where they see a new player and they hop on their fungi twink and just start corpse camping the absolute piss out of that new player. That's the difference. This server gets new players. A lot of people try to say, oh, well, nobody comes to the Red server, it's a dead server, it's a ghost town, nobody comes here, there's only so many people looking for EQ PvP, you have a finite pool of players to draw from. I've heard just about every excuse that can be mustered up. The fact of the matter is this, it's EverQuest. Every day people are getting slowly burned out, and every day the longtime veterans are quitting. That's how it happens. New players are supposed to trickle in and replace the quitting veterans. And what's happening is the older players are getting burnt out and quitting. The newer players are being griefed off the server. So there's no replacement. When I talk to these, because some of the players, when they quit Red, they'll go to the Blue server and they'll play there. And I will talk to them and I will say, hey, oh, you used to play on Red? That's awesome. What level did you get to? Oh, you didn't play very long, did you? I see. If you don't mind me asking, why did you quit the Red server? What happened there? And 9 times out of 10, the answer I have is simply I couldn't put up with the corpse camping, I couldn't put up with the griefing, it was stupid, the OOC was garbage. Now granted, some people are stupid and they need to understand that they can turn off OOC, or if they don't like certain people, what they say, they can put those players on ignore. I understand that. That being said, if I recall, OOC was added mostly so you guys could sell items and find groups, and that is not at all what it's mostly being used for. It is not. It was also supposed to bring more players because it would make everything feel more alive and less like a ghost town. And so it's not doing any of the things that it was put in to do. That being said, if people are just gonna shit on new players, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot. I understand new players are very easy to kill. I understand that new players are very fun to kill. I understand all of those things. I had a level 8 magician who was running through Butcher Block, one-shotting level 1 dwarves for hours and hours and hours and hours one evening. It was good time. I bet you a few of those people quit EverQuest for good because of me. But now that I'm on the other side of the fence, I can see why those actions were horrible. And when I have players specifically tell me that they quit Red and they're now on Blue because of the community, That sucks. I came to this project to help with the red server. And, I mean, honestly, it's almost like just banging your head into a wall. So, one last thing I'm going to say is I'm going to offer a small piece of advice to the number 2 guild on the red server. You can take this advice and run with it. You can tell me that I'm stupid and I don't know anything and that you're going to make your own plan because you got the best coach in the game. That's fine. You don't have to do what I tell you to do. But here is Sirken's common sense approach to not sucking. First of all, guild number 2. Stop killing anybody that doesn't have a Nihilum tag. Because what you're doing is you're pissing off new players so that they hate you, so that when they level up, if they don't quit, they go right to Nihilum. Not for easy pixels, not for no competition, not for easy mode, none of that. They do it because they think your guild is full of dicks. They don't want to join the guild of douchebags that corpse camped them on their twinks when they were little baby levels. Common sense, guys. Common sense. Other than that, right now, Nihilum's got to sit back and laugh because they really don't have to do anything at all to recruit. They don't have to do anything except let the other guilds grief new players right into their arms, right into their recruitment pages. So if you want a competitive server, what you need to do is make one. Like I said, stop killing anyone that doesn't have Nihilum's guild tag. You need to paint them as the bad guys. Because right now, they're painted as the good guys. The most ultimate good guys any PvP server has ever seen. And that's their recruiting tactic. You can play with a bunch of dicks, or you can play with the other guys. So, with that, I'm going to clear chat one more time. Chat is cleared. I'm going to turn my tells on, and I will start taking your questions. If I think of something else I want to add in, I will just go ahead and add it in. But for the most part, that is what I wanted to say. I will not be answering any questions about anything other than P99 Red. So please save your EQ Next or ESO or Blue server questions for after this is over. This is strictly Red server stuff right now. And also, please put your questions in the form of a question. I didn't think I had to say that, but apparently I do. Okay, Seawall says, you said insta-poofing equals permaban, but Strider was caught on Fraps for it. He was back online within a month. Seawall. All I can say is maybe, I don't know exactly when that happened. If it happened, if he was one of the first people that got suspended for it, I could see where that would have happened. But, when was it? About 4 weeks ago? Right before the 4th of July, we had a staff meeting, and Nobog basically told us that we were being too lenient with people, and that he doesn't care if the population is 10 people. He does not want us to be lenient moving forward. And so from that meeting on, we've been much more liberal with permabans as opposed to trying to be lenient to preserve server numbers. I'm not answering development questions. You can save them for... Oh, you know what? Screw it. I will. Mitten wants to know why Druid track was worse than Bard track. It was never like that. Blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. I never played a Bard. I never played a Druid. I never played a Ranger. So I have no idea whose track was better. But Mittens, if you can find any kind of proof that what you're saying is correct. Send it to Nilbog, and he will make the change for you. Um, is there any chance? Who is this? Who are you? Geomance says, is there any chance of an even higher than already established EXP bonus for the server, disregarding the current EXP bonus? No. The XP bonus will not be higher than this. Jizar wants to know, will you guys start punishing window draggers? I think you're talking about the ghosting thing. Nilbog is working on something for that. I don't, it's not my department, and honestly, I'm not smart enough to understand how that works, how they're going to fix it. But Nilbog says it can be fixed. So, I don't know if that means something about keeping your character in place on our end, or maybe just disconnecting you from the server when it happens. Not 100% sure. Tyrion says, has Nilbog taken over position as top dog of the server instead of Rogan? Do any major changes still have to go through Rogan, or is Nilbog the final authority? Okay, a lot of people aren't 100% sure on this. Technically, Nilbog is at the absolute top of the totem pole. While Rogan and Nilbog are equals in each other's eyes, it is at the end of the day Nilbog's project. Project1999 is Nilbog's baby. That being said, Red was going to be Rogan's project and his focus. As time went on, it kind of shifted to where Rogan really doesn't care as much about the Red server as he originally did. But I still do very much. Zaid still does very much. Nilbog still does very much. So right now, as far as who do changes have to go through, it depends on the type of change. If it's content or dev, it has to go through Nilbog. Everything else goes through Rogan. Ferry says, considering new players are so often griefed off the server and teams allow for greater safety, how likely do you think the addition of teams to the server would be? Ferry, it's a very good question. I have been fighting for teams to be put on the server for a very long time. A very long time. Probably since beta. Whenever I got on the staff, I don't know. But a very long time. And I would say nothing's impossible, but we're not just going to implement it like a bunch of assholes. We need to find a way that doesn't disrupt the balance so much, and something that will also be worth changing the entire server. I mean, if we can't find a way to do it that we think will legitimately help newer players and keep them around, then we're simply just not going to be able to do it. But if we do find a way that we can do it and help players and keep players, then we absolutely will. So, do not post links to people cheating here. Post in the petition forum, guys. Come on, common sense. Alright, my name is Crixus, just started a Barbarian Shaman 30 minutes ago, if anyone wants to help me out. That's not a question, buddy. Not a question at all. I'm going to read these in my head before I read them out loud now, because of DPX1986, who I have to imagine is 4 years younger than I am. Not a question. I already answered that question. Question, who do you think is a good leader for Classic? You've been around long enough. If you mean on the staff side, I think Nilbog and Rogan are fine leaders for a Classic server. If you're talking about like who's a good leader for a guild, I think Nizar and Toon have done a great job leading the Hylam. From my own experience on VZTZ, I can say that I think Rex and Knuckle would do a good job leading a guild together on the server if they had the same, let's say, dedication that they had on BZTZ. Let's see. Is there ever going to be a wipe? No, there's never going to be a wipe. Track says, do you think they should remove the XP bonus? Yes, I do. I think it should go back to how it was. I don't think it should be like blue, but the 300% bonus it has right now is a little high. There's people leveling so fast that they don't even have money to buy their spells. And while some of you guys don't care about that because you just want to play Call of Duty with EQ tunes at max level with the best gear, other people actually come here for EverQuest. So, we got to meet those people in the middle. Question, do you think there will ever be a 24 versus 24 teams event? Tell you what, Agatha, if we get 48 people, I will set up a 24 versus 24. Love to see. I'll tell you what, Agatha. Yes, I can guarantee you we're going to have 24 versus 24. If not sooner than later, because when Velius comes out, you're going to see big PvP for, especially for Lotazol. If I don't see giant scale PvP for Lotazol, I'm dropping the mic and walking off stage, and you guys can find another GM. P99 Red is dead. People put a lot of time into EQ, and once you ruin it for them, they most likely aren't going back. That's okay, Green Blaze. Every so often, I'd say every couple of days, I see a new player on the Red server. So most of the changes we're making are to keep new players on the server when they do get here. Not to say, hey, you guys signed up to a classic EQ server and got pissed off when it was about as hard as classic. Flex missed the beginning of the stream. Any plans of turning Red into a team rule set? Flex, I would say in short, yeah, I already talked about this, but in short, it's possible. For the long version of the answer, you're going to have to check this video out after I post it. Rogue Sneak Hide is broke. How they did it, can it be fixed? As far as I know, Rogue Hide Sneak is working as intended, but if you think it's broke, send your information to the bug forum, have Nobog take a look at it. He's the guy who would fix that. Another question. You've given the players some examples of how to improve the server on our end. What have the GMs and devs been doing to help, especially population-wise? And is there anything more that could be done by the staff? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the staff is perfect and that it's done absolutely everything it can do. Won't do that. But I will say that some of the things the staff has decided to do, we had a meeting just before July 4th where we talked about a lot of things. Some of those things were Nobog reminding us he'd rather have 10 legitimate players on his server than 1,000 cheating scumbags. So banning people forever is something we're doing in hopes that by putting the fear into people, it will keep them, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. We're also being more open to changes than we were in the past. Whereas things like item loot or teams or even boxing, these things were never even discussed by the staff. So we are discussing things now. We're discussing things that we necessarily do not want and do not agree with, strictly because we feel it may be something the majority of the player base want or something the majority of the player base agree with. So I feel that is the answer to that question. Let's see, I lost my spot. Why does red have no duck to cancel spells and blue does? Seems kinda dumb. I 100% agree with you. You should put a thread in the bug form and get an answer from Nilbog, because not ducking to interrupt a spell is some of the stupidest shit I can think of. Dear Sirken, there is a lack of low-level guides that assist the higher-level GMs. Is there any push to find more low-level guides to assist with players? I've had an application in for over 2 years. Okay, so this actually drives me insane. I have a thread. We have a staff section of the forums where I have a thread that says that Rogan told me to create for finding new guides. I did this. I posted some wonderful applicants. I posted one guy who used to play on VZTZ. I posted one guy who used to play on Red 99, and I posted a guy who used to play on Blue server. I figured those three people came from three very different walks of life, and none of them have any kind of loyalty to anybody. They would be great staff members. And a couple of them got shot down. One of them I had to go up on stage and verbally convince Rogan and Nilbog that it was a good idea. And then I've been bumping and pestering. When I saw Rogan about a month ago, or 2 months, and I don't know, whenever I saw Rogan, I brought it up to him again, and he told me just to bug him about it until he does it. But I'm not that type of person. I mean, if I tell you something 2 times, then either you didn't want to do it, or there's some kind of communication barrier. But I don't just bug people and tell them the same shit over and over and over again. That's not what I do. I don't waste my time either. That being said, I am still pushing for more guides. If your application hasn't been denied, that means your application is still being considered. We like to keep a lot of them on file, because you never know when Rogan's going to be like, go get more guides, or when a staff member is going to be like, alright, I have to quit, or I'm going to France, or whatever. But right now, the Red server really only has 2 dedicated staff members, myself and Zaid. And Brodus and Alovia spend most of their time on the Blue server. Epfi doesn't spend much of his time in game anymore. He is more of an out-of-game staff member. And then Papaver, who just returned, spends most of his time on the Blue server. So you guys need to be very nice to Zaid, because he has very little access, and he finds a way to do a lot of shit where other guides would just be like, I'm going to leave that for Sirken. Zaid knows that Sirken might only log into Red once a day, and so if he can help you, he's going to help you. If the Red server loses Zaid, it's going to be in a lot of trouble. Zaid is one of the best things that has happened to the Red server. Will you give out better rewards in GM events? Blah, blah, blah. Like old artifact items. Well, here's the thing. The old artifact items are associated with actual quests. And so unless we do those quests, we're not going to give out those items. Unless we decide as a staff that we're absolutely not going to do a certain quest, you won't see that artifact. As far as why aren't the items better instead of artifacts, maybe some lustrous russet. The reason for that is items like that I have to have approved from somebody else, either Nobog or Rogan, whereas certain items I don't need approval. And so if I want to do an event in the middle of the night by the, just wing it, I can. I have a little bit of wiggle room on what I can use as prizes. And so that's that. Let's go back to the chat room here. Is Sony gonna get Rogan arrested? No, Bamsel. Honestly, I think that would be entrapment. You can't invite somebody somewhere and then have them arrested. Track, you asked if the XP bonus should be removed. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out because the pop is increasing, blah, 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 blah. Yes, the population is increasing, but here's the thing. Very easy XP is attracting the type of people about the kind of people that really aren't here for EQ. This is really to make up for the XP that people lost during the DOS. If people just want to run around on an instant level 60 character with awesome gear and an epic and whatever items they want, this isn't the server for them. It just simply is not. This is, as I know it's not 100% classic, but this is the closest to classic server you're going to find. And we're not going to throw all that down the drain so people can play Call of Duty here. I mean, if you don't like leveling, if you don't like anything except PvPing at level 60, you don't like EverQuest. I'm sorry, that's just the sad truth of the matter. I was serious about the gnome question. It may be possible. I'm going to tell all you guys, I was going to do an event where the winner of the event was going to be given a gnome Shadow Knight. I ran into a possible problem with some faction issues, but if I can get it greenlit by Nilbog, then I would not rule out the possibility of one lucky player being given a gnome Shadow Knight. Okay, let's see. Question from the chat room. If we're going to implement teams, what would they be? I apologize if that was asked. That has not been asked, Scott Rocks. That's a good question. I totally forgot to address that earlier. If we were going to implement teams, I have no idea what they would be. As I was saying, I am a big fan of the Valenczek team system because it would not affect the red server's current guild situation. No guilds would have to be broken up if we added Valenczek teams, and I think that's really important. A lot of the people that play together like playing together, and so I feel it's really a shitty thing to do to come in and just be gangbusters and smash up all these people's guilds. Crazy Knight says, are you 31? Almost, Crazy Knight. Very close. My birthday is more than 1 day away and less than 7. That's actually the reason that the best of the best cannot be next weekend, is because I'm going to be blackout drunk that entire weekend. Another question from the chat room. If we're going to implement team... Oh, I already answered. I did that. Sorry. Nilbog's idea was... Nilbog had a couple ideas. The most recent one he posted in the thread, it was a west side versus east side. Some other ideas were some chopped up Solenzek type things that I really didn't like at all. Trek SC, question from the chat room. Do you think I already answered that. Stop spamming the same question, guys. I know I'm dragging behind, but I'm getting lots of questions. I'm trying to get to them all. Question. Will Velius be released at the same time on Red and Blue, or will there be a delay? Got Rocks? Great question. Velius will be released on both servers at the same exact time. Also, the only thing that you guys might hate, and if I have anything to say about it, I'll make sure this doesn't happen. But the only thing I'm worried about for the red server is I don't know how many servers we have. And we are going to do a Velius beta test, just like we did for Kunark on the blue server. And the thing is, I don't know if that beta Velius server would have PvP enabled, so I don't see how we would be able to beta test PvP in Velius. And I feel it's really important that that does happen. We can't just, screw Velius, or screw PvP in Velius. That's unacceptable. Let me see. Let's see. What are the weakest classes on Red 99? Roxy Bell says. The weakest class on any server is always going to be a ranger. Always, always, always. Oh, Cast is back. Welcome back, Cast. Um... Wow, so really more shit talking than questions. Scrolling through this chat room pretty easily, pretty quickly. Question from Agatha, or as some dumb people call him that don't know any better, Agathar. Question from Agathar. What would happen if Classic unseated Nihilum as top guild on the server? Would you do community outreach to tune in Nizar? Agathar, I'm pretty confident that if Classic unseated Nihilum, we would just wipe the server. I joke, obviously. But if Nihilum was dethroned, and for some reason it seemed that players needed community outreach from the staff, I would be there for them, just as I am here for every player on our fine servers. Sirken, are you getting worried about the gear gap that will happen between Nilly and the rest of the server if Classic isn't able to defend them? No, I'm not worried about the gear gap until Velius comes, honestly. I mean, yes, the gear gap is there, but let me tell you, I've been undergeared on Valenzac. When I was in Defiant, no, I was one of the best geared magicians on the server. But when I was in Faded, when I was in Macabre, when I was in Torrent, when I was hanging out with the Vexar, Silent Soul, 12 Prophet kids, I didn't have the best gear by any means, not even close. No one in my guild did, and we had to use smartness to beat these people. So yeah, I don't think there is really a huge gear gap until Velius. I know Vishan's Peak doesn't help, but it's not till Velius. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Question, any way we could get GM assistants to help newer players? GMs do help newer players. They help all players. I've been sending you questions through Tells in-game. Would you prefer them in this chat room? No. I prefer Tells in-game if possible, just because it's easier to get them all. They're scrolling much slower. That being said, I'll be back checking my Tells in a second. I just want to get caught up on this chat room. Sirken, what? Excuse me. Not Seawall asks, Sirken, what is your stance on allowing developers to have a character that is an officer in a competitive raiding guild? So obviously, he's talking about Sundog, aka Arzak from Nihilum. I'm going to say this in front of 105 people and anyone that is in sound of my voice, range of my voice. Arzak has absolutely zero access to the game. Arzak does not have a staff account. Arzak does not have anything that a normal player doesn't have. The only thing he may have is a faster response time to Nilbog opening his petitions, because 99% of his petitions are probably content related if they're coming from Sundog. When he's on Arzak, even the forum account, he doesn't do dev things. And he can't use his dev account for any kind of player things. So, for example, let's say he had an item rot. Or not rot. Say he accidentally deleted an item. He could not petition as Sundog. He would get a lot of grief for that. Turpentine says Torrent was terrible. Sounds like somebody is still a little butt sore. Question, is it allowed to trade blue to red plat gear? I think so, but I would strongly not recommend it because that's how players get scammed. Let me see. Alright, back to my tell window. Oh shit, alright, I am fell behind. When can we expect Small Me to be freed? I've answered this before. I threw the ball up for an alley-oop slam dunk, and Small Me couldn't dunk the ball. All he had to do was dunk the shit out of the ball and shatter the blackboard and send glass flying everywhere, and he failed to do that. Klepto asks, do you think you would win a real-life fight with Rogan? I don't know. I'm not very good at fighting. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a tough guy. I'm fucking like 5'8", 145, 150 pounds. I mean, if you land a good shot in my face, I'm going to be on my back. So, don't know. And he's got that Boston Bruins blood in him, so might be in some trouble. Although, for all you people that think you could catch me, one, you don't need to lift when you have a Foyd card, and two, I can run really fast. I ran cross country for quite a while, and I'm willing to bet I could run faster than probably most of you guys. Let's see. Do you have any plans to roll a character to play here? I know you tried a Dark Elf Warrior, but were unable to do it because everyone was looking for you. My Dark Elf Warrior only got up to level 2. I will still do that experiment at some time when I have time. Right now, even though people aren't looking for me, I don't have the free time to do it. That being said, I do have a character on the red server. He is a level 20 Gnome Necro. He has a cloth robe, 1 cloth wristband, 1 cracked staff, and 1 pair of cloth pants. He's awesome. He is absolutely awesome. I play him maybe once every 2 or 3 months whenever I get an itch. Let's see. Can you please comment? Pudge asks, can you please comment on the possibility of blue transfers to red? It's something that has been discussed by the staff. Pretty much 50-50 divided on it. I could say if it did happen, it would be a one-time thing, and it wouldn't be a transfer, it would be a copy. So they wouldn't leave the blue server, they would just copy their characters over to red. I would be against them taking any droppables with them. Just because if they bring items that they can sell or trade, it's going to mess with the red economy. So I would be okay with them bringing their no-drop items, but I would not be okay with them bringing coins or droppables. Do you have anything else to... Yeah, because I can talk. Do you have anything else to add to the list of things the server can do to increase population? If things don't change and people continue to grief noobs... I hear this too frequently. I quit because I was excessively griefed. I mean, it's really not hard. It's not like there's a long list of things for players to do. Players, I mean, yeah, I break the players' balls and say that they're bad people and all these things. But I mean, if I really, truly thought that, I wouldn't put any time into helping the people or the server. But, I mean, honestly, if you want to know, like, what can I do to help the server? Don't be a dick to people that don't deserve it. I mean, that's the number one thing. Or Wait till they're like level 50. Wait till you know that they have enough time invested into the server to where they're not going to quit. Don't find a level 14 kid playing by himself and on his first trip to Unrest in 14 years and grief him off the server. If I want to corpse camp someone until their corpse rots, will you summon their corpse for them? Yes, Seawall, I absolutely will. Furthermore, I'll make you stop way before that ever happens. Unless I'm out of town for 7 days. Everybody who's offering to donate to my gnome necro, thank you, but no thank you. I love his couple pieces of cloth armor. He's a boss, and I don't need gear to, well, to be fair, I've only slain one player on my necro. There's not much action going on in the level 20 range. Okay, back to the chat room. Dorniku says, Sirken, how do you... Alright guys, I'm going to turn my in-game tells off real quick so I can once again get caught up on the chat room. Sirken, I'm a player from back in the day. I was wondering if there's any issues with people using things like show EQ on the red server. Right now, there is a couple kids that think they're real clever with a show EQ compile that they have. Those kids are going to get banned. Clever, guild-hopping kid, not as clever as he thought. So, anyone who is using it should stop. Sector says, I'd kick your butt, Sirken. Yeah, in a fair fight, I bet you would, buddy. But fighting fair is for suckers. Oh shit, actually, Sectors is in my weight class. Uh-oh. Let's see. So did Rogan actually get an invite out of the blue to EQ Live, or did he sign up and hope to get in? No, he did not just get an invite out of the blue. They weren't like, oh, I wonder what Rogan's doing today. You know what? We should get him on the telly and see if he wants to hang out. No, that absolutely did not happen. Somebody contacted SOE from P99, one of the players, and it ended up that Brad McQuaid responded to the email asking if essentially any staff members from P99 would be at SOE Live. So then Rogan's email got passed along. They emailed Rogan. Rogan emailed them back. Rogan's in Vegas. Can't really discuss any details. Sirken, care to comment on Seawall's 5% speed increase hack confirmed by Toon? You guys are retarded. Do I have to ban this person? I'm going to give you 10 minutes off just because I don't know what link that's from and it starts with masturbation. Bazaya wants to know if we ever expect there to be a stricter enforcement of language for OOC. For example, blah blah spam or other stuff that may turn people off. Bazaya, I'm going to show you something. And this is for everybody. If you go to your options, if you go to filters, right here, you go to bad word filter, You change this to hide, and you won't have to deal with any bad words. Now, if you're the type of person who picks and chooses which bad words he likes, or picks and chooses which people it's okay to use bad words, I don't care about you. It's either all or nothing. There is a bad word filter. Don't be afraid to use it. If certain people piss you off, put them on ignore. /ignore works very, very well. So yeah, I don't feel it's my job to enforce OOC beyond people dropping N-bombs or F-bombs or real-life attacks. Oh, the real-life attack stuff has to stop, by the way, guys. Let's pretend we're more than 10 years old. Honestly, I would turn OOC off. Although, if we had teams, I would restrict OOC to your team. So you could still coordinate with your team around the world, but you wouldn't be able to coordinate with the other teams. So there is that, which I think would be epic. You guys leave Zayd alone. Zayd is God's gift to the Red server and to me. Not Seawall asks, Sirken, what do you think about the leaderboard that Eldoran made, which requires him to 2-box to have a character logged in 24/7? I don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, he should probably contact the staff and make them well aware of what's happening, because if he does just get caught on some kind of 2-boxing detector, he's going to lose both accounts. That being said, if he's taken precautions to hide his shit, and that bot character is never playing, it's just sitting in an empty zone somewhere doing nothing, we're never going to catch him, because he's not actually using the character for anything. A character sitting in a zone logging information is the same as not being online. But that being said, I think a leaderboard is a great addition to the Red server. I noticed I had a 24-to-1 kill-death ratio last time I checked, so A+ job. God plus Zayd equals Gade. White Knight of Integrity. Festus asked, how did I slay a player if I'm on blue? Festus, I obviously am talking about my character on red. Everything about this segment is about red. I am ignoring blue, I am ignoring ESO, I am ignoring EQ Next. This is all, everything coming out of my mouth is only in regards to the red server. Sirken, will you require TNF so I can keep my title and rename the event? Oh, will you retire? If I retire TNF, the title goes with it. So it's not going to be a win-win. Sirken, would it be possible to change my best of the best title from a suffix to a prefix, aka Grandmaster Colgate? No, it wouldn't. Alright. Alright, guys, we actually, oh, you know what? That's not fair. I started late. So I would say I will do this. What the hell? Hold on one second, guys. I'm sorry. Day's Tomb, I already hit item loot. Check out this video when I post it. You can get everything you need. Curtis says, would you guys ever consider doing something like hold events every couple months to try and get people to start new tunes with each other? Not sure what would be involved, maybe 25% EXP. Alright, Curtis, that kind of stuff, anything that requires patching is not going to be done with an event. Little Gyno, next time you do that, you're getting 10 minutes now, but next time you do that, you're getting forever banned from my channel. So, I can pretty much tell you guys are out of legitimate questions in the chat room. I'm turning my tells back on. So I will give you guys, I will say 10 more minutes. We'll do this till 9:30. 10 more minutes. I will be taking questions. How lenient are you guys with name changes? We do not change first names, period. Um, there was a period of time where if you had a good reason or if you entertained me with some bullshit, I know one guy petitioned saying that he just found out his name meant the F word in a different language and he doesn't want to get in trouble. And I laughed so hard that I went ahead and granted his name change. Um, I've also, for various reasons, given people name changes if I thought their reason was a good enough reason. I got in a lot of trouble for doing that. Nobog was going to cut off both of my hands, and after I begged and pleaded for him not to cut them off, he decided to give me a second chance. But I will not be changing people's names. The last thing I want to do is upset Nobog, and he made it really clear to me that he doesn't want that happening. What about race sex changes? Absolutely not. All right. Excuse me. Robo Space Cop says, has Rogan gotten more or less enthusiastic about upcoming content, or has it remained steady? Rogan is it's like a roller coaster. Like it has peaks and valleys. Sometimes, like when he's into the project, he is gun ho 110% into the project. And when he's not, it is hard as hell to get a hold of Rogan. That guy goes into the Matrix and disappears. I have to go into full Agent Smith mode. I have to copy myself onto everybody that's plugged into the Matrix until I finally find him. We have an absolutely epic battle of like 7 billion versus 1. And then finally, win or lose, it pulls him out of the Matrix back into real life, and he'll start putting words in, or work into the server. So that's that. And yeah, Crimes, if you made a high elf, then you should be stuck staring at your shitty high elf. You shouldn't be able to use the benefits of the race while you level and then switch to a race that you think is sexier, or everybody would just make a human shaman, or they don't even have humans, do they? Make a barbarian shaman and switch it to Ixar afterwards. Let's see. Somebody's asking about Velius. The expected Velius launch is before the end of the year. Got Gnomes asks, will XP penalty on PvP death ever be brought back? No, it will not. As far as your other question, I'm going to pretend I didn't see it so that I don't have to say it's against the rules, but as of right now, I kind of just turn a blind eye to it because I love gnomes and I love gnome humor, and to me that's not racist, it's just gnome humor. But at the same time, I don't want everyone to start doing it. Is the recent attention to PvP by Nilbog a sign of more good things to come? Yes, attention from Nilbog is always a good sign of things to come. Or a sign of good things? I don't know. My grammar's all overrated this evening. No, Pudge, if you win the No Mess Night event, if it even happens, it might not even happen. But no, you can't just get Pudge changed to a gnome. For the same reason I just said I won't do race changes. Pudge wants to know if Velius is going to be released in pieces or all at once. As of right now, we are planning to release it all at once. Kim wants to know if the XP bonus is temporary. Obviously, yes, it's temporary. It's going to be taken out when Rogan gets back and remembers to take it out. So, who is this? Hold on a second. Like a virgin, I know you're listening because you said something about my stream. So if you're still in this room and you're still listening, I need you I need you to petition your character's name that is stuck, your cleric. I need you to use this character to make a petition that just simply says your cleric's name, and I will get him unstuck in a minute. Viker? I'm gonna call you Vicer. He asks, sorry if you already answered this. On the prospect of a rule set change, is there any chance we could get language skills some usage, maybe scrapping the common tongue altogether? That is something I am a huge fan of, Vicer, and it's something that I have adamantly argued to the staff that if we ever went teams, we need to absolutely abolish the common tongue. But furthermore, we would probably add a language to each team and then disable the ability to learn new languages. Sorry guys, I think I'm getting sick. Or I just smoked too much and I have a bunch of shit in my throat. Can you elaborate on how you chose your character name and surname? My character names on Project 1999. No, actually, you know what? I'm not going to. I don't want you to know where I get my names from. Let me think. Let me see. I feel like I missed something. There was something. There's Velius. There's Vicer. Alright, well, apparently I have lost somebody's tell. I can't make that any bigger because people will see it. Dazed asks, does Rogan have any plans that we don't know about? If he has plans that you don't know about, I clearly can't be the one to tell you about them. I'm being stalked. Hold on, I don't know. Kimberly has found me. Huh, I totally thought that said something else. How will you be doing rewards for Velius Era Best of the Best that you plan on hosting if all the titles are already taken? Seawall, that's a very great question, and we actually know the answer to it, but we want it to be a surprise. And also, just in case we change our minds, we don't want to announce it, because then we feel trapped into doing it, so we're not going to say it. But we do have something special planned for the post-Velius Best of the Best. Okay guys, I am going to turn off my in-game tells again. I'm going to do one last look here at the chat room. And whoever asked me the Monsanto question, Pudge, if you seriously want to talk about that, send me a private message and I will talk your ear off about that. But this is a red server only Q&A, so I'm not answering any questions that aren't about the red server. No Monsanto, no blue, no ESO, no EQ next, nothing. Um, sectors, no. We can't do anything like that. We can't. All right, Sector asks, is there any way if we had a donation goal by the end of the month that there would be added features like name changes or more events, more items, giving away, etc.? No, because technically that is us charging you for a service, and we're not allowed to do that. Staff isn't allowed to make money on this anyway. So the staff simply just does not make money on this. We do not believe charging for features is a good model for any game, and so we're just simply not doing it. That being said, I'm sure if you put some kind of 5-figure offer together, you can bribe me. Everybody has a price. Mine's 5 figures. Days Tomb says, how realistic is blue transfers? I'd say it's about 50-50. Okay, so I got to the end of the list. It's 9:30. That is going to wrap up our red server Q&A. To join in this fun server, you go to www.project1999.org. The population is growing every day, and I hope that with this, people will be nicer to our newer population and our newer players, and they will help build a community that fosters growth and is good to the new members. Stop griefing new players off your server, guys, because at the end of the day, it is your server too, and if you want to make it a better server, you have to use what little power you have as players to make it a better server. You can't do everything in your power to make this server suck and run new players off the server and then blame it all on the staff and complain about a low population. I mean, we'll do what we can do on our end, but you guys have to do what you can do on your end too. We're currently in Kunark. Velius is expected at the end of the year. It's 100% free to play. You guys can follow me by clicking that follow button on the bottom left there. It will let you know when I'm online. Tuesday, I will be going over EQ Next. A week from Wednesday, I'll be doing some ESO stuff. And then August 22nd, I will do a blue server Q&A just like this. I randomly play Game Dev Tycoon with this large group of people that decide to watch me. We play as a group. I let people make whatever games they want to make, and we either get rich and succeed together, or we go into the poorhouse and get ran out of business together. It's a lot of fun, but there is no set schedule to that because I really only play it when I have a crazy ass itch to play a crazy ass game like Game Dev Tycoon. So that being said, thank you guys for listening, and I hope to see you hanging out both in game, but more importantly on the red server, because that red server needs love. You can get various updates from me here on this stream, and again, to know when I'm streaming, click the follow button. Thank you guys for your great questions. I tried very hard not to avoid questions. I tried to give you guys honest answers and not plead the fifth or say I don't know or anything else fucking Harbrand posted in his stupid, ignorant fucking post that he made. That being said, you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm sorry that it took me, I was a little bit late getting started, and I'm also sorry that it ran a little bit late, but I wanted to make sure I got to as many of your questions as possible. I hope you guys had a great time. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye. Sorry, I'm back. Hi, I'm back. I'm going to end this broadcast, and I'm going to start a new one, but I need to end this one first so that I can make the video to load up for people that may have missed certain topics I already hit on, so that they can get the information. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time. Oh, and yeah, we'll do this again in about a month. There will be a next time. See ya.